Gege Akutami's all-time best-selling shonen manga series, Jujutsu Kaisen, has just released its 254th installment, and it's got one of the most unexpected reveals that honestly makes us wonder where the Shinjuku Showdown will be heading. That's not to mention too that we just received a huge payoff to the setup Akutami-sensei introduced in JJK 253. So keep your eyes glued to your screen as we take you across the uninhabited and demon-infested streets of Shinjuku and tell you all about what you can expect from Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 254. Of course, it goes without saying that full spoilers are ahead for the most recent chapters of JJK up to its latest installment. You've been warned, people. Now let's enter the domain. The story so far. Alright, so the Shinjuku Showdown had us fans seeing not just the death of everyone's favorite arrogant white-haired Jujutsu sorcerer, Satoru Gojo, at the hands of Ryomen Sukuna, but also a 3-on-1 battle between the King of Curses and Yuji Itadori, Yuta Okatsu, and Rika, Yuta's Shinigami, also known as the Queen of Curses. That battle ended with the Yuji-Yuta tandem seemingly further weakening Sukuna, but at great cost. At this point, the late Gojo students have been beaten up so badly, they had to literally be teleported away from the battle. The Jujutsu sorcerers weren't taking any breathers though, as Maki Zenin, now having unlocked the full potential of her heavenly restriction, entered the battlefield to duel the King of Curses in a one-on-one battle. Well, that one ended with the green-haired Jujutsu High sophomore also getting the L and transported away from Sukuna's immediate vicinity. And just when we thought that the combined forces of Japan's stalwart Jujutsu sorcerers have already been depleted, Chapter 253 introduced us fans to an honestly surprising development, as Atsuya Kusakabe entered the fray to face off against the King of Curses. That's right, Kusakabe, the guy who's always been portrayed as, well, Jujutsu High's premier coward who has always preferred to stay on the sidelines away from trouble to save his own skin. This is the same dude who literally lied to a panda so that he doesn't have to face any strong opponents during the Shibuya incident. But what's really surprising about this latest chapter is that we find out that 1. Kusakabe is actually a Grade 1 Jujutsu sorcerer, the highest rank that Jujutsu Society gives to its agents barring those rare special grades, and 2. All the other Grade 1 sorcerers, from the late Nanami Kento to Meimei, agree that Kusakabe is the strongest Grade 1 Jujutsu sorcerer out there. All this leads us to Chapter 254. What you can expect from Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 254. The latest installment in Akutami-sensei's modern classic shonen series opens exactly right where we left off. Kusakabe stands in front of Sukuna, his cursed katana at the ready. The Grade 1 Jujutsu sorcerer immediately activates his technique, New Shadow Style, Simple Domain Evening Moon Sword Drawing. Seeing this, Sukuna can't help but wonder why his new opponent would activate a melee-focused ability against someone like him, a guy who can unleash projectile slashes. Kusakabe braces himself for the King of Curses attack, all the while analyzing the field. He knows that his simple domain can't cancel Sukuna's cleave, but it can negate its sure-hit effect. Kusakabe adds that, as with any other domain, his cursed energy output is increased with his new shadow style, while his opponents get weakened. Just then, Sukuna unsurprisingly unleashes cleave, and Kusakabe reveals his ace in the hole, that he can alter and adjust the parameters of his simple domain according to his will, and in this case, Kusakabe programmed it to allow him to automatically block any of Sukuna's techniques. It works well too, as he parries Cleave's invisible slash with his katana. Even the King of Curses is impressed with how quick Kusakabe was able to react to his initial salvo. From where he stands, the Grade 1 Jujutsu sorcerer continues to review the situation, adding that he can preempt Sukuna's attacks by focusing his attention on his movements and the sparks Sukuna's cursed energy causes whenever he uses a technique. The merciless ancient curse user isn't just going to stand there, he immediately follows up with another cleave, which Kusakabe deflects almost by instinct. And again, Sukuna is impressed with how his opponent was able to use his technique without so much as moving a muscle. But like the true apex predator that he is, Sukuna taunts Kusakabe and asks him to guess what technique he's going to unleash on the Grade 1 Jujutsu sorcerer next. Kusakabe braces for an attack, thinking that the King of Curses would unleash his world-bisecting dismantle, the same technique used to kill Gojo. And just as in the previous issue, we fans get more glimpses into the katana-wielding sorcerer's true potential by way of Nanami, Meimei, and even Gojo's testimonies. Nanami believes that what makes Kusakabe such a powerful Jujutsu sorcerer isn't his cursed energy reserves, it's the combination of him being a master swordsman, his knowledge of a variety of cursed techniques, his ability to use barrier techniques, and his true gift, he's a master strategist. Meimei considers him as the Swiss Army knife of the Jujutsu world, and to drive the point home, we fans even witness a scene where he says that Kusakabe's simple domain isn't like the ones other, lesser sorcerers use. For one, he doesn't need any binding vows or conditions to use it like, say, how Miwa needs to keep both of her feet on the ground to activate her simple domain. But what really sets it apart is how, according to Gojo, Kusakabe's simple domain has unbelievable range. And we probably get to see it in the present, as Kusakabe extends his new shadow style to run through where Sukuna is standing and basically nullify his cursed energy output, effectively preventing him from using his world bisecting dismantle. Mei couldn't have put it any better when she said that what makes Kusakabe such a unit is how he's able to become a grade 1 Jujutsu sorcerer without any innate or inherited techniques. Simply put, the man's a genius in his own right. And just as Sukuna gets caught in Kusakabe's new shadow style, the trenchcoat-clad sorcerer unleashes a myriad of slashes on the King of Curses using his katana, gashing and blooding up Sukuna in the process. In fact, Kusakabe's attack is so intense that his sword breaks in the middle of his offensive. Sukuna notices this and thinks he has an opening, but the grade 1 sorcerer follows up by feinting retreat and using his trademark coat as cover before unloading a jaw-breaking overhand right that would put even the best featherweight champs to sleep. And it's not just a haymaker too, as Kusakabe channels his inner Wonder Boy and goes for a spinning wheel kick right after, which Sukuna barely blocks with his arm. Still, the impact from Kusakabe's strike sends the King of Curses flying, and he immediately gives chase. The Jujutsu sorcerer catches up to his opponent and blocks one of Sukuna's punches before peppering the ancient curse user with body shots. And in the middle of all this, Kusakabe wonders why he's trying so hard. After all, he'd very much prefer to save his own skin the way he's always done. That's when he reveals he's doing it for Jujutsu High's late principal, Yaga Masamichi. Kusakabe believes he owes the man a debt of gratitude for helping him out before, back when Yaga created a special cursed corpse with Kusakabe's nephew's soul to help the kid's mom cope from trauma, an act that inevitably led to the principal's eventual execution. In a way, Kusakabe feels guilty for playing a part in Yaga's death. He's doing this to honor his old friend. And if that wasn't enough to convince us that he's a stand-up dude, even to his colleagues like Gojo, Nanami, and Mei attest that in spite of Kusakabe's whining, he's a kind man. The Grade 1 sorcerer shakes off the thought and refocuses on his duel with Sukuna. Kusakabe knows that he might very well be Jujutsu Society's last line of defense. If he dies here, the King of Curses will definitely murder the remaining sorcerers on the sidelines. He concludes that if the other Jujutsu High students are more than willing to lay their lives on the line, then he should too. At that moment, Kusakabe prepares for one last gambit. He uses his cursed energy to reconstruct the blade of his broken sword and activates new shadow style, Moonlight Veil, before lunging at Sukuna. Kusakabe's blade is pointed straight at the ancient curse user's heart, but it doesn't go as planned. Sukuna manages to catch the tip of his katana with his fingers. Seeing this, Kusakabe knew he was out of options. He smirks and lets out one of the coolest lines we've heard in the series when he responds to Sukuna with a simple, "Well, damn." And just like that, we see the genius Grade 1 sorcerer unconscious on the ground, his chest crisscrossed by 2 deep slashes. As with other casualties and injured participants of the Shinjuku Showdown, Yu teleports in and prepares to take Kusakabe's body away from the battlefield. This time though, Sukuna's onto the kid. The King of Curses tells him that he's become increasingly annoying, what with taking all his prey away from him. Yu barely has time to react as Sukuna prepares to smite him. However, the King of Curses is surprised to see that his strike didn't land and that Yu is nowhere to be found. Sukuna looks up and welcomes the new challenger, commenting that he's never seen him before. A short distance away, standing on top of a brick wall is a curse user and former Jujutsu terrorist under Suguru Geto, a man also known as the MVP of Night Parade of 100 Demons, Miguel. Our thoughts and theories about Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 254. Alright, we're gonna say this right out of the gate. We're starting to feel a bit frustrated about what's been happening with the Shinjuku Showdown arc these past 3 or so chapters. We mean, come on. It's one thing to have a fast-paced plot, but we can't help but feel that Gege Akutami is rushing these encounters. Sure, Sukuna's respective battles with Gojo and the Yuta-Yuji tandem were extremely interesting, but at this point it almost seems like we're just waiting for the next lemming for Sukuna to run over. Yes, we've mentioned before that it's likely the Jujutsu Sorcerer's game plan is to whittle away at Sukuna in a war of attrition, but that's exactly the thing. The past 3 chapters haven't shown us any signs that the King of Curses is getting weaker with each other. It's almost like we're just waiting until Jujutsu High's entire bench is cleared out. It's understandable that Kusakabe or even Maki would lose to Sukuna, but their respective encounters would have benefited from at least one more chapter to further flesh it out. Now, don't get us wrong, we still love the series, so we hope that we see the plot move forward in the coming chapters. Speaking of JJK's upcoming installments, Akutami-sensei gave us one out-of-left-field reveal with the reintroduction of Miguel to the story. We honestly don't have much to go around about this guy aside from a few facts. 1. He used to be a general in OG Suguru Geto's plan to wreak havoc in Tokyo way back in Jujutsu Kaisen 0, the original JJK series where Yuta was the main protagonist. Second, we know that he's pretty formidable after seeing him go toe-to-toe with Gojo during the Night Parade of 100 Demons. He ultimately lost that bout, but he was the only guy from Geto's side who managed to land a strike against Gojo, something that up until that point was unheard of. Finally, Miguel is actually one of Yuta's mentors. After that whole deal with Geto, the guy went back to his homeland of Kenya where Yuta followed him to investigate his cursed tool, the Black Rope. Gojo would then follow them there and basically blackmail Miguel into coming to their side and taking Yuta under his wing. Speaking of the Black Rope, it has the ability to nullify other cursed techniques, making it a special grade cursed tool similar to the inverted Spear of Heaven. But here's the thing, the Black Rope burns itself the more you use it, and the last time Miguel checked, he's all out of it. Whether the Kenyan sorcerer has other tricks up his sleeve remains to be seen. Until then, we'll anticipate the release of Jujutsu Kaisen's next installment and hope for the best. Simply put, in Gege we trust. What did you think of Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 254? Got any theories about how the Shinjuku Showdown arc will play out? Let's talk about it in the comments section below. And to be the first to see our upcoming videos, please subscribe to our channel and don't forget to ring that notification bell. We'll catch you in the next one.